So I got a WWE update for you all with some changes, some very interesting changes coming up in the very near future for the company. Also, I wanted to give y'all some news about the Elimination Chamber, which is coming up very, very soon. So first and foremost, this was kind of an interesting thing, but last night on Monday Night Raw, we saw that they did like a double finish where Rollins and Balor, both Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, they were involved in a five-way, and the idea was it was like a last chance five-way where the winners, whoever won the match, would get to be put in the chamber. Well, pretty much what happened was there was like a double pin, and the show left, like the show ended with a cliffhanger. Like, oh man, like, what's going to happen? Like, where are they going to have a match next week or what? But apparently, according to what happened right after on Facebook, because WWE really wants to push that whole Facebook thing. They want to push, like, they really want people to go on Facebook. I don't know why. I mean, I'm not really sure. But that's why they're doing that mixed match series on there, because of that. They announced that both Seth Rollins and Finn Balor will be in the Elimination Chamber. Now, you're probably wondering, well, wait a minute, that doesn't add up. There are 6 guys normally in Elimination Chambers. And right now, the qualifying guys are Cena, Elias, Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, and The Miz. And the 6th guy was supposed to be the winner of this match. Well, things are changing for this year's Chamber because now there will be 7 guys in the Elimination Chamber. We know that The Miz will be the first person in the chamber, and Elias is going to be the last one. But apparently now, the way things are going, is they're going to open up, instead of it being 2 guys starting and then 4 guys coming in at every interval, it's going to be 3 guys starting. So I'm not sure if it'll be Rollins or Balor who are actually starting, but The Miz will be in there with 2 guys, and it will begin like a triple threat match, like a 3-way, and then they're going to bring in other people. So that's something interesting, a different thing they're doing with the men's Elimination Chamber on the pay-per-view. That's interesting, I think. I'm okay with it, to be honest, because you want to get both Seth and Finn in there because you know that they're capable of doing some crazy stuff with that chamber. So that should be entertaining at the very least. And, of course, the winner of that match will go on to WrestleMania to wrestle Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. And as of right now, Roman Reigns is still booked to win. So Roman versus Lesnar is still the main event of WrestleMania. And there's been discussions about what Lesnar's future is going to be. There have been a lot of legitimate rumors going around and talk about Lesnar coming back to UFC. His suspension is up this year. I think it's up this year. It was up a few months ago. With the idea was originally going to be that he was going to that he was going to fight John Jones. But now there's talk of him coming back. I don't know for sure yet, but there is talk. And if he does come back to UFC, it won't be a permanent return. He'll still come back to wrestling. But it'll be like it was a couple of years ago when he had that one fight with Mark Hunt. They'll do that again. So that, I think, is interesting. Also, another really interesting change, which I'm totally for, is that apparently WWE is changing their pay-per-view structure to where they are now getting rid of single-branded pay-per-views, and they're going to be doing dual-branded pay-per-views from now on, meaning that you're not going to get any more Raw exclusive or SmackDown exclusive pay-per-views. You're going to go back to it being both brands having their piece of the pie. You'll have Raw matches and SmackDown matches on pay-per-view. I, for one, am totally into this. I've never been a fan of single-branded pay-per-views. I understand the concept behind it. It gives WWE a chance to add more pay-per-views to the lineup. It gives them a chance to give some of the undercard guys some pay-per-view paydays and spots. I get it. Like, I'm for that, but they've never really been that great. Even back during the era when they first started doing the brand split back in 2002, 2003, the first couple ones were pretty good. Like, I remember Vengeance 2003 was a really, really good SmackDown pay-per-view, which actually had John Cena and The Undertaker on that show, which is going to be the WrestleMania match. That was a good show. There were some good ones, don't get me wrong, but right around 2004, if you remember your wrestling history, there were a lot of injuries and a lot of people left. And that ended up causing a problem because in 2003, when they first did the brand split, well, it was 2002 when they first did it, but back then they had dual branded pay-per-views only. 2003 is when they started doing the single branded. You had a lot of guys on the roster, but 2004 changed things. Brock Lesnar left the company. Kurt Angle was hurt. He was out half the year. WWE let go of a bunch of people in the summertime, so you had a really thin roster. They had depleted pretty much all of their developmental talent at the time. Cena, Randy Orton, Batista, all those guys had already been kind of becoming stars around that time. So they really, like, if you go back and watch 2004 WWE, it's pretty bad. Like, you had a lot of bad stuff there. It wasn't all bad. Like, you know, there was some good stuff, but a lot of it was bad. And those single branded shows were just horrible. Like JBL was champion. You know, you had these, like, Luther Reigns was getting pushed. It was just not a very good time period. And I just felt like for a few years there when they were doing those single branded shows, a lot of them were just so skippable. You know, a lot of them were just so, and oftentimes you wouldn't even get a real satisfying ending. You'd have like a cliffhanger, then they'd blow it off at like the big double branded show, right? And then in 2007, they decided, okay, we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to do single branded. We're going to do dual branded shows forever, or triple branded, because back then they also had the ECW brand. And remember how that ECW pay-per-view, not the first one, not One Night Stand, those were okay. I'm talking about December to Dismember was a complete failure. Having single branded shows just does not work, I don't think, even though it sucks that some of the lower card guys may not get pay-per-view paydays. I think that WWE realized that having single branded shows, you know, constantly with like only half the roster, I think they kind of realized that it was just, you know, a lot of the matches didn't hit, didn't have any heat, and I don't think it was really helping out their network sales. I mean, I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but the decision was made to do that, or at least that's what I'm hearing. It actually hasn't been 100% confirmed yet, but we know that the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania is going to be a dual-branded show, and that wasn't the case originally. So that's interesting to me that they're doing something like that. And I'm okay with it. Like I said, I am fine with it. It makes the pay-per-views have more value, and it makes them seem more important. I am expecting some kind of angle coming out of the Chamber match featuring The Miz and Strowman, because the plan right now is still to do The Miz and Strowman at WrestleMania. So either The Miz will screw Strowman or some kind of spot will happen where they're going to begin the build-up to that for WrestleMania. Like they announced on Raw last night, Jason Jordan is indeed injured. I talked about this on Twitter a while back, but now it's become public. So he's out of Mania. And I'm not entirely sure if the plan was to do Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan at Mania. It doesn't seem like a WrestleMania match, but as of right now, as of this recording, I don't know what Seth Rollins is going to do at WrestleMania. I haven't been told. So he'll be in it. I mean, he'll be on the show. It's just a matter of what matches will he have. Maybe against Finn Balor. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I think that'll work, though. I think that'd be a good match. But yeah, back to the pay-per-view thing. It's interesting because, you know, people who already bought tickets to the show have gotten flyers in the mail saying, an email saying, hey, it's a dual branded show now. So I guess they just realized that people just weren't buying these things as much as they wanted them to. And it makes sense. I mean, I like it. I'm okay with it. Last night on Raw, they also announced that Ronda Rousey will be signing her Raw contract. Of course, this is all kayfabe. Her real contract's not going to be signed publicly. It's going to be all done privately. But she'll be signing her on-TV Raw contract at the Chamber. And I presume that they're going to shoot, or they're going to begin the storyline for her WrestleMania match on that show. Maybe the night after Raw. The Raw after Chamber. But there's a very good chance they're going to start the angle that night. And as of right now, like from what I've understood, it's still supposed to be Ronda and Kurt Angle against Triple H and Stephanie. That's still the plan. That may change, though. We'll see, because it depends entirely on, you know, what they want her to do. But we're going to find out for sure kind of what direction they're going to go in. As far as her being a full-time wrestler, you know, they said she was full-time, but when they say she's full-time, I don't believe she's going to be on every show, like every house show, every Raw, but she will be in more frequently than, you know, like The Undertaker. You know what I mean? She's not going to be doing like The Undertaker thing where he's back like, you know, once a year, twice a year. Like, she'll be in, you know, full-time, more than people expect. But I predict that going into WrestleMania, at least for those few weeks after the Chamber, she'll be on pretty much almost every Raw. I mean, I presume that, I don't know for sure, to build up that match, especially if it's with Stephanie. Because anything involving Stephanie and Triple H is going to get a big push. I mean, and it's Ronda. So I think her beating Stephanie at WrestleMania is a good first match. You don't have to sacrifice a woman's wrestler. You don't have to sacrifice an actual in-ring wrestler to her right away. Having Stephanie tap out to her, whatever's going to happen to the armbar, I think is a good way to bring her in, and it's a big match. You've also got Triple H and Angle in there as well, which was the plan for them to have a one-on-one as of like November, but everything gets changed. And I talked about that before. Everything gets changed. So because of injuries like Jason Jordan, I mean, there was talk that they were going to do Jason Jordan and Kurt Angle at WrestleMania with Jason Jordan betraying him. That's also not happening for sure now because Jason Jordan's hurt. So there's always things that get moved around and puzzle pieces that get changed. So that's what I have for you today. And that's my little Tuesday, I guess, YouTube hotline. So let me know any thoughts down below on, are you happy about the pay-per-views going back to being single-branded or, dual-branded, dual-branded. And what do you think about Ronda and the 7 people in the chamber? Let me know. I'll talk to y'all later.